This is the Post Shift Podcast, a raw look at the hospitality industry. Good morning and welcome to the Post Shift Shot. I'm your host, Shawn Soole. Currently, I am at the Toronto, well, not when I'm actually recording this, I'm recording this earlier, but currently I am at the Toronto Cocktail Conference, interviewing a whole bunch of people and having a blast. But I wanted to put something down that I sort of talked about the other day on a live feed, and then a young bartender came to me yesterday and I sort of talked to him about it again, and it's fresh in my brain, and I want to really get this out here because I talked about patience, I talk about planning, I talk about all these things, and I look at it and I really explained it well yesterday, which I really thought I wish I recorded it when I was explaining it to this bartender. But bartenders, you have time. You don't need to open bars by the time you're 25 and this sort of thing. And I'm dealing with this in Singapore a lot as well. Young bartenders really trying to push, because the thing with social media these days is that everybody has FOMO and everybody thinks that they need to do absolutely everything by a certain age and they should be a certain point in their career and so on and so forth. So I wanted to explain really how I feel about this in an interesting way. And so the way I sort of look at it is that as humans, like I'm 39 this year, a lot of the bartenders I talk to are like the 25, probably the 22 to 28 year old range maybe. And they're just so gung-ho about trying to achieve XYZ, and when they don't achieve XYZ, it's a very personal blow to them. And I got to thinking is that as human beings, from the ages of 0 when you're born to 5, you're literally learning how to be a human being. You're literally learning how to feed yourself, not shit your pants, go to potty by yourself, and all this sort of stuff. So 0 to 5, those first 5 years is literally trying just to learn how to be a human being. 5 to 10, you start getting your own personality. There's sort of you've got minimal social exterior forces on that. It's usually your parents and your siblings. So 5 to 10, you get a little bit of a personality, a little bit of school. Then, of course, from 10 to 17, the teenage years, the adolescence years, you've got heavy exterior influences. So you've got not just your parents and school and your siblings, but you've also got a lot of friends and people in high school forcing social norms and that sort of thing on you. Then with social media, you've got all that going, and like the Instagram posts and all this sort of FOMO crap, so much in the ether pushing down on you to make you into something you think you want to be, or you don't feel comfortable about it, or it brings out something that you really want to be, which is there's always positives to it. Then you leave school, and from about 17, I say, to 22, you are really developing into who you are. 17, 22, because you're out of high school, you have responsibilities now. Your life may not be as structured as it was when you were in high school. Like, a lot of people struggle with that, with the structure getting out of school, because school's 9 to 3 or whatever it is these days, 5 days a week, and all of a sudden you're going to get a 9 to 5 job, and you only get half an hour for lunch, or you start working 6 in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, shift working. And so the 17 and 22 is when you're really starting to become an adult. And I can spurt off all this without giving examples, but people ask me why I don't miss Australia as much as I do. I have some great friends back there. I do miss a lot of things, but I honestly believe I moved to Canada when I was 26, and I believe that I became an adult when I turned 26. I became an adult when I turned 26. I moved across the country, across the world for a girl. I really had to start paying rent in a different country, lots of cultural changes, that sort of thing. And so I think I grew up into the person that I was, and I've kept growing with my wife and my little one and stuff like that, as a human. And so when I get these 25, 26-year-old bartenders talking to me about, well, I've got to achieve this, and I've got to do this, and I must do this, and I have to do this, and all this sort of stuff, I understand you're goal-orientated and you're driven, which is great, but you putting this pressure on yourself, and you think that doing X, Y, Z, you just got to take a break. And that's the way I kind of look at it, is that you have to take a breath sometime and realize that if you're 26, you did go to university, you've literally been in the workforce as a adult for like 3 to 4 years, which is mental. So you can't look at what you've done, what you're going to be doing what you've done before you're 25, because the first 22 years of that was just becoming who you are now. Now, you can say, well, if I can work another 25 years, but this is where the concept really changes, is that people look at time and go, well, where am I going to be when I'm 50? I'm like, you're going to be fucking killing it at 50. And they're like, but what do you mean? It's like, because the first 22 years of your life was becoming who you are now. From now, you don't have all that peripheral foundation to do for the next 25 years. You can literally double down on everything you're doing. Like, I look at myself, I took over Clive's 10 years ago. 10 years ago. That's not that long. 10 years, I thought, when I was 29, taking over Clive's, getting married, having Mila, that sort of thing, I was like, holy crap, I'm at the peak of my career at 29. Like, Clive's was doing well, then I did Little Jumbo, and so on and so forth. And like, even if I look at that, I left Little Jumbo in October 2014. I've done 8 venues in 6 years. And I look at that timeline, and I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, I'm looking at it now, like I'm going on 40. I don't feel 40. Thank God for going to the gym and starting to look after myself. I sure as hell don't feel 40. And the thing is, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is like, if I can double down on what I've done in the last 10 years for the next 20, fuck, I'm set. So bartenders, take a breath, bar managers, industry people who feel like they're treading water or they're not getting what they want out of all these things. Like, take a breath, enjoy it a little bit. You're still so young. Like, even if you've been bartending since you were 17 and you're 24, you've still got so much to learn. You've still got so much stuff to achieve. And the next 20 years, 25 years is going to be fucking epic. But put everything into perspective. That the majority of your life, up until you turn 25, has been learning how to be a human being. Not how to be an industry person, how to be a freaking human being. Now take that out and take that timeline again and really think about back when you were 5, where you lived, what you were doing, that sort of stuff. Now, what you've been doing for the last 5 years, times it out over 20 years. And trust me, if you get this perspective in your head, all of a sudden, time is a relative, like Einstein said, and you can really, really, really change the way you want to do things, and you can really, really make a big difference in your life. But that's my post-shift shot. I really hope you're enjoying these episodes, guys. I love them. I will see you next week. You are going to see a lot of stuff streaming on Instagram and Facebook at the Toronto Cocktail Conference next week. I'm really looking forward to going there. And thanks a lot, guys. Have a good week. Bye. Thanks, Post-Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you're listening, whatever platform you're on, give me a good rating, subscribe, listen along. I'm going to keep going. I really enjoy sitting down with people and learning where they're from, what they did, and how they got to where they were. So if you love it, give me a good 5 stars. If you don't, give me 1 and I'll try harder.